Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Thomas Dakan Tabi Kumavok, Senior English and French teacher, professional translator and reviser, and translation scholar, author of the book titled De la sémantique à la traduction, une approche sémantico-morphosyntaxique de la traduction. The book was published in France last May 2025. In this video, we are going to discuss legal translation. We are going to say a word about legal translation. We are going to discuss legal phraseology and collocation in translation studies. One of the greatest problems in translation is law, how to handle law in translation. And we have two major problems here. The first is that students translators are not always legal experts. That's the first point. That is, students who are admitted in translation schools, not everybody has a legal background. Or we can even say that none of them, in some situation, none of them has a legal background. And not every legal expert is a linguist. That is the other point of this first under this first point. So not every legal expert has a good linguistic background. I mean, we can find people with a good background in law, but who do not master the ins and outs of language. In other words, who are not linguists. That means they don't actually hold any diploma in linguistics, especially in bilingual studies. That is the first point. The second point is that legal language is about legal phraseology. And legal phraseology entails mandatory collocation. When we talk about collocation, we refer to G.R. Firth, who says that you shall know a word by the company it keeps. Collocation actually pertains to the habitual association of word or some expression which tend to go together. That means some expression always go hand in hand. They stand together, and this is part of the genus of a particular language. So when we discuss collocation, we think about what we call compatibility, because collocation give rise to, as I put it in one of my LinkedIn posts about collocation, I said collocation make room for morphosyntactic compatibility, pragmatic compatibility, and more importantly, stylistic compatibility. When it comes to legal language, we must understand that there are some we must understand that a phenomenon like a linguistic phenomenon like synonymy is not does not work when it comes to legal language, especially legal phraseology, or especially legal phraseology, because collocation in legal language is very binding, is mandatory. So, although with synonymy in ordinary language, we can replace word, we can use words which are equivalent, we can replace word by other other lexical items. This works in ordinary language, but when it comes to legal language, synonymy is pretty much dead, because if we replace a word with another in a given phrase where we have a binding or a mandatory collocation, then the meaning, the legal implication is no longer the same. That said, if we take into account the fact that in a given situation, the words that are used are, let's say, if we consider, for instance, if we consider ordinary language, if we talk about, for instance, idioms, we see that with idioms, these are fixed expressions. These are fixed expressions that carry a particular meaning. But this fixed expression, their meaning is contextual, because with idioms, most of the time, we translate them based on context. So idiom translation is context bound, because the meaning can still change based on the communicative intent or intention that of the communicative intention or the communicative intent of the speaker. So this means idioms can change. Anyway, idioms can change, their meaning can change, their meaning depend on context, their meaning can change based on context. But this is not the same when it comes to legal language. So legal language, we will say that some phrases in legal language are like fixed expression. They are like idioms. That means fixed expression, which in contrast to ordinary idioms, which change in ordinary language, this fixed expression in legal language do not change, because they actually put across a particular communication. They have a particular communication implication, so that we cannot change them. And we can neither change them, neither replace them, nor replace any part of them. So to take an example, when if we say in English, to serve a notice, this is a mandatory phrase, mandatory collocation, whereby we cannot change the meaning, in which we cannot change the meaning. So in French, this will give us, when we say to serve a notice, instead of saying in French, servir un avis, which will be literal translation, which is not acceptable, we are going to say, in legal language, we say signifier un avis. So with this example, we understand that the verb, the expression to serve a notice, we will not replace it. For instance, in English, we will not say to give a notice, or we will not say to grant a notice. because the way the expression is used within a language system does not allow us to change it or to use a synonym in order to use that expression. So when we say to serve a notice, that expression should remain as it is, and the meaning is not literal. The meaning will yield another mandatory collocation which gives us signifier un avis. This signifier un avis, we will not replace avis by, for instance, by saying signifier un point de vue or signifier une convocation. So avis here, or signifier une opinion. Avis here will not have as synonym opinion. So it should remain as it is. So that's what we are saying, that be it in the source language, be it in the target language, as far as English and French are concerned, legal phraseology is mandatory, is binding. So it should be learned as it is. That said, we can take another example like to grant bail. If we say in English to grant bail, we cannot change that expression in terms of its morphosyntactic structure. We cannot say to grant bills or to grant a bill. The expression is to grant bail. And when we say to grant bail, the meaning is accorder une mise en liberté sous caution. This will not be, we will not use a synonym for accorder une mise en liberté sous condition by saying, for instance, offrir une mise en liberté. For instance, that will not work. So we have to keep the expression as it is. The same thing is applied when we take the example terms and condition. Terms and condition, we will not translate it by saying terme et condition. We will translate it by saying condition générale. So what we are trying to say here is that in legal language, we have what we call legal phraseology, which is synonymous of mandatory collocation. That means the fact that certain words, they dance together, they stand together, they are not replaceable, they should not be replaced, and their meaning should be learned as it stands. So for us to master legal translation, the first thing is that we have to translate legal text oftentimes, and when we translate, we make sure that we actually create glossaries and we memorize. That means we get familiar with legal expression, and this is how we can beautifully handle legal translation. So this is a type of translation which is quite difficult because not every translator has a legal background, and not every legal expert has a linguistic background. So we have to find a common ground so that if you are a legal expert, you need to learn the ins and outs of language, the subtleties of language, by carrying out research in semantics, in pragmatics, and stylistics. And if you are a linguist with no legal background, you need to work on legal translation by translating legal text regularly in order to be able to be successful in legal translation. This is the end of this video. I hope you will like it. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to share. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.